Okay, it looks like I'm alive. So, well, I'm alive, but I'm live, and the camera needs to go over a little bit that way. Hang on, let me just do that, and then tap it so that we've got everything right. Um, okay, chat. Let me know whether I'm all going okay here. Not sure if I am until I find out. I've got middle-aged geek girl doing the admin at the moment. And Darren, hi Darren, says we're on, so we must be on. And yes, I've got an espresso here, so cheers. How is everybody? It was quite hot here yesterday. It was like 37 degrees, which is quite warm, and because it is in centigrade. And today it's like 20. So temperatures are weird around here. Hi, Bedhead. Yeah, so basically this is going to be a very free-form live stream this time, 2 hours. And I've got a couple of things I've been watching, got a couple of things that I recommend you don't watch, and also I'm going to discuss what I want to do for the channel and maybe get some ideas from the chat on things that we can do for the channel that people might like to see. Because sometimes people like what I put out, which is good, but sometimes as well they've got ideas, and I'm not going to go with all of the ideas, but some of them are sometimes choice, and I'm going to pick brains to find out what we're going to do for the channel in this particular time. Darren says 25 degrees, heading for 31 in Brisbane. Hi, Damien. What the hell are you doing up at the moment? Hi, FG. Yeah, where Damien is, it's like, what, 4 o'clock in the morning. That's chronic, mate. I'd recommend melatonin if you're getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, so it's all going to be a little bit of middle-aged geek girl says she's having internet and computer issues, maybe a bit. Thank you for letting me know that. She'll fix it all up because she is a tech wizard. Yeah, so give me a moment. I'm going to put another light on here. Get a little more side light. Yeah, Damien says can't get to sleep. Sorry about that, mate. Insomnia is hard, but occasionally I drop one of these babies, which I don't recommend people do, melatonin, because I've got some medication that makes me a bit insomniac as well. Hi, Franny. Hi, just got back from watching Poor Things for the second time. Introduced to the two new people and got one of them interested in the book as well. Yeah, Poor Things was great, particularly seeing it at the Sun Cinema in Yarraville. Had a really good time with that. Dick Power said, glad to hear the last video that little Luna is out and about as normal. Yeah, Luna's outside currently. The sun hasn't come up yet. It's going to come up in about 20 minutes. But she runs around outside and spends most of the day either sleeping in the back room where all of the DVDs and Blu-rays are, or else she is out in the backyard chasing Jill, her sister, around. Oh, good. I'm glad it cooled down there for you, Damien. Yeah, hi there, Digital Pollution. Yeah, so we're going to... I'll start out. Let me have a look at my list. Yep. Have a drink of water because espresso doesn't... 6 degrees C over in Ontario. Yeah, hi, Franny. When I can catch Luna, I will give her a hug for you. 6 degrees is a bit warm for this time of year, isn't it, Garfield? But yeah, so interesting times. I've actually, one of the jobs I've got to do is I've got some new shelving for the DVDs and Blu-rays, which I haven't assembled yet. And I want to assemble that this week, get everything on there, and then go back to recording some of the videos with a backdrop of all the DVDs and Blu-rays. So that's one of the plans. Assembling the things is a bit awkward. They're quite large, so what I'd normally do is I clear off the dining room table, put a cloth down, and middle-aged giggle and I assemble these enormous shelving units and then move them into the other room. But yeah, I've just had a look at my letterbox, and I will post. I'll give you a link now to my letterbox list because I've watched 47 movies so far this year, which is pretty good. Yay, middle-aged geek girls back. Golf clap. Here's my letterbox list. Hi, Steve. Greetings from Connecticut. 40 degrees Fahrenheit there, whatever that is in real terms. Let me have a look. Alexa, what's 40 degrees Fahrenheit centigrade?
40 degrees Fahrenheit is about 4.4 degrees Celsius.
4.4 degrees Celsius. So yeah, the letterbox is there. Watched a bunch of weird and eclectic stuff so far this year. Normally, I try to keep to one movie a day at least because I want to do maybe 400 this year. But I failed miserably at that for a number of years. But this year, I seem to have got my mojo back, and I'm watching a lot of things. I want to kind of fill the gaps. January was no rewatch January, where I'm only watching movies I haven't seen before, which got really difficult for Science Fiction Saturday. But what's going on with the quality of my video stream? Is anyone else having problems with the quality of the video stream? Because I can't tell from my end, Dean. Hi, Evil Pixie. From very warm Morecambe, 9 degrees. It's meant to be the middle of winter. Yeah, I like Morecambe. We went to Morecambe 20 years ago. But just going through the thing. I think it's the internet connection this morning. Okay, a little low quality. Hopefully it will pick up. I haven't got anything else going on the network. It seems to lag a little bit and low quality. Okay, well, we'll see what we can do there. Let me just see what I got here. Okay, I'm going to try to change to our other thingy here, and hopefully it won't kill what we've got. Did it drop out there, middle-aged good girl? Maybe the ambient melted yesterday. No, probably did. Yeah, but it's been fuzzy, but now it's starting to come up, says Dick. Yeah, sorry about that, but it is what it is. Yep, middle-aged Google had to reboot her laptop this morning. Yeah, it's one of those things where it just depends. We're in a kind of semi-outer suburb here, so that stuff could have had an effect. Good now, yay! Golf clap. Okay, here we go. We'll get started. I watched this movie yesterday. It was one of my $5 pickups from Umbrella Entertainment, and it's got that rule where any comedy that has a long title is probably not going to be fantastic. But I saw this movie called Seven Stages to Achieve Eternal Bliss by Passing Through the Gateway Chosen by the Holy Storch. There it is. Which has got Kate McCucci in it, Sam Huntington, Mark McKinney's in there, whole bunch of comedians. Premise on this is good. Basically, a young couple move from Ohio to LA to fulfill their dreams and get a cheap apartment. What they don't know is that a cult leader killed himself in the bathtub in their apartment. And so all of these cultists keep breaking into the apartment and committing suicide in the bathtub. And so they go on this really weird journey where every night somebody new is breaking into the apartment, giving them these weird esoteric cult challenges, and then committing suicide in the bathtub. It's a good Darren's getting dropouts. Yeah, so basically that's what happens in this, and it escalates from there. It's a bit weird. Yeah, Kate McCucci is good in this. And the supporting cast is good too. Dana Gould, Maria Bamford. Let's see who else is in there. Brian Posehn, Mindy Sterling. Taika Waititi's in it, but then Taika Waititi gives me the shits. So that part I wasn't fond of. But yeah, it's a little quirky comedy, but I don't think it sticks the landing very well. Gets a bit messy. But yeah, Dick, you're right. It's still amazing we can contact one another from either side of the world. She did a one-woman show playing with Mikuchi. Yeah, I mean, her and Ricky Lindholm are great as Garfunkel and Oates. There, if you can go onto Spotify and listen to some Garfunkel and Oates, very funny duet singing. But Kate McCucci is always fun. But yeah, I don't think it quite sticks to landing. By the way, middle-aged geek girl, I think someone's knocking at the back door. It could well be Luna or Jill, but probably Luna. But yeah, I mean, no one. It was what it was. It was cheap for me to get, so I watched that, and I'm still tossing up whether I want to keep it or not because I've got to that stage of movie ownership where I can kind of go, okay, maybe I don't want to keep that, and I'll put it in a pile to donate to a charity store of some kind. So I'm kind of dithering about doing that with a lot of movies. So I may well have to go through the collection at some stage and winnow out the stuff that I'm probably not going to watch again, and probably I'm not going to use as reference for the channel. But yeah, it's didn't mind it, but still not fantastic. And there's Luna, over the side. There's Luna and middle-aged kid girl. Hey, baby girl. So Luna has appeared, and Luna and the zooming started on this because somebody came in. Mag had done it several times. Got to go to work. 15 minutes. I'll catch the rest tonight. Yeah. So Luna's here, and she's mad. She normally sits down here on the desk and interferes with whatever work I'm doing. She may well turn up a little bit later, but yeah, she's doing much better. Thanks to everybody who gave us lots of love and support while Luna got impaled on the garden ornament. She's bounced back wonderfully. She's mad as usual, and we're very, very relieved and happy about that. Yeah, Luna looks fine. Yeah, she's fine. Yeah, Colin and Garfield, she's doing fantastic. She never stopped eating her food or anything like that, but we had to give her a lot of medication over a number of weeks, anti-inflammatories and antibiotics and things like that. But she's back now, and really, cats are as resilient as hell. One of the lovely things is that she never got nasty when she was in pain. She never really got nasty, apart from when she was actually impaled and I had to help her, and middle-aged good girl had to smash the ornament to get her off it. Apart from that, she was never nasty. She was never, like lashing out at us. Really nice cat, and really gentle in nature, in spite of the fact she occasionally bites my hand when she gets overstimulated. But yeah, so I watched that. I did a weird thing too. When I'm going through thrift stores or op shops, as we call them here, you end up getting a whole bunch of stuff from like 15, 20 years ago that was popular as far as action films are concerned. And so I watched a whole series of 5 kind of supernatural action films from about, they started in about 2003, went through to about 2016. Hi, David. Uh, let's see. Carol says, yeah, so good to see Luna's okay. So scary for you all. Our cat Roxy likes to join my work team's calls or sit on the desk when I'm working too. Yeah, they do that. They just love interfering with whatever humans want to do. Dean says, you've been watching an Aussie show, Border Security. Isn't really that crazy trying to enter your country. No, that's right-wing propaganda. The guy who runs a television network that has that show, a guy called Kerry Stokes, is a billionaire right-wing nut job. So what they do is they got border security when there were conservative governments in Australia to do this show to show how nasty and mean and scary foreigners are. So border security is basically there as a white person propaganda piece, and I never watch it. Occasionally, when I'm surfing through channels, I occasionally see like ads for it, and I would never watch a show like that. I think it's nasty and mean spirited and rotten, and it is social engineering to try to make Australia scared of people from other countries. Yeah, Thief of Baghdad poster is great. I love that one, and also a face in the crowd. I've got a whole bunch of day bills. What I should try to do, and it's hard to do, is do a video with a whole bunch of them in it, because there are a number I've got. They are increasing in value too. They're a little more expensive to buy. I normally source them from eBay, and the prices are going up because suddenly people are discovering daybill posters. And the ones with these kind of artwork, particularly the Thief of Baghdad one, where they redrew the artwork locally to put the posters out, those ones are really the ones that I enjoy. The ones with just printed artwork, I'm not that fond of, but the ones with the redrawn artwork have a kind of primitiveness about them that I really appreciate. Yeah, I'm amazed at 94 people trying to smuggle in, says Dean. Yeah, I mean, we've got to look at the biosecurity is important here. We live on an island, and so biosecurity is important, but those shows really aren't kind of there to reassure people. They're not really a good part of the national conversation. Yeah, Donna Pass Whiskey, Luna's doing great. She's running around. She wants to go in and out. In the morning, she wants to go in and out of the house 5 or 6 times in any 20-minute period. So if she meows and bashes the door, can't be helped. She just does that stuff. Damien says, we will do that with our collection when we get it. Yeah, absolutely, Damien. You've got to winnow things out a bit occasionally. But yeah, so back to what I was saying. Action films, supernatural action films. Yeah, Damien, Daybell's are fantastic. Supernatural action films. I watched all of those in 2 days. All of the Underworld movies. Underworld Evolution, Underworld Meets Emmanuel, no, Underworld Rise of the Lycons, Underworld Awakening, which is the only one I got on Blu-ray, and Underworld Brood Wars. And so, are they any good? Is probably the question. They, of course, star Kate Beckinsale, playing a woman called Celine, who's a vampire, is 1,000 years old, and she gets involved in a war between vampires. Colin, 10 quid. Get Luna some treats and give her a big hug. I definitely will, Colin. Thank you very much for that. If you got any special questions to ask, Colin, please do. But yeah, so I watched the Underworld movie. So Kate Beckinsale's playing Celine. She's a vampire who is in the vampire werewolf wars. Interesting thing about the series is you get some really good actors turning up. Michael Sheen turned up. He was married to Kate Beckinsale at the time they did the first movie, and then she left him for the director, Len Wiseman. You get Derek Jacobi turns up in there. Bill Nighy turns up in there as well. Charles Dance, and all these great actors around the edges of these movies are fantastic. The stunt work's good. Special effects are pretty good. But there's not much character development anywhere in the 5 movies. The main character, played by Kate Beckinsale, I'll be kind, she does okay at it, but the Botox doesn't let her face emote. And so she's never that expressive as a character. And so your main viewpoint character has no riz. And that's the big problem with the Underworld movies. So I'm putting them aside. Let's see. Big Rob NZ. I'm getting some good movies from my local thrift shop. It's hit or miss, but I like that. Yeah, you've got to hunt them down. It's like truffle hunting. You've got to have a nose for it. You've got to wander widely to get the good stuff. And occasionally you do. And sometimes you get stuff which is okay, but you want to watch. But yeah, it is something that really takes time and dedication to do thrift shop hauls for DVDs and Blu-rays. Middle-aged Geek Girl and I are going to hit some very expensive suburbs in the next few weeks, and I hope to get some decent stuff from the rich people's throwaways. Dean Johnson says, has watched some of those movies over the years affecting your eyes? Has watching all those movies over the years affected your eyesight? No, I've got glasses, and I get new glasses every few years. Really hasn't. I don't sit too close to a cathode ray tube the way I did when I was a kid. But no, my eyesight's fine. My hearing's really good. I didn't go to any concerts when I was young, so I haven't affected my hearing. Damien says, I like the first film in the series. Yeah, the first one was okay. Michael Sheen brings his A game to the 2 movies he's in. One of them is a prequel. The Rise of the Lycans is actually a prequel. and Michael Sheen's in that, and he does really well. Charles Dance does really well as a vampire called Thomas. Derek Jacobi does really good in one of the movies as well. And Bill Nighy playing the big bad vampire is having a bit of fun in the first two movies until he gets his head sliced in half diagonally. Dick Power says, I'd watch Underworld meet Emmanuel, but probably not the rest. Yeah, I think the writing should have been better. I mean, everything else was on point, but the writing really needed to be worked on. And a little bit of depth would have helped the series enormously. Yes, it was successful enough to do 5 movies, but the writing needed to be sharper, and a couple more left field surprises would have helped. Carol Bird, our local charity shops are fantastic. Richard's found loads of great stuff, films and books for not a lot, and everyone keeps getting rid of the physical media. Silly, but we benefit. Absolutely. Physical media, I really appreciate. Yes, some stuff on digital is okay. There are any number of ephemeral movies and ephemeral series that do okay on a streaming service. Like all of those really big Netflix action films with people like not Ryan Gosling, the other one, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot and people like that. Those ones are so ephemeral. You watch them, boom, boom, bang, bang, and that's it. They don't deserve a physical media thing because they're designed for a streaming product. So they're no better than they need to be kind of successful on a streaming service. But quality movies, and particularly older films, need to be preserved on physical media. And when I find an old film, something like this, I found this for $1, I think it was. Secret Life of Walter Mitty with Danny Kaye from the 1940s. This is the stuff I love preserving on physical media because it will not get a go on most streaming services. But I kind of like it. And there is clever songs in it written by Sylvia Fine, Danny Kaye's wife. It's a bit of fun. It's from the 1940s and it's entertaining without necessarily staying with you too long. That kind of stuff. I love the fact that I can get it for $1. I can't buy pretty much anything else for $1 these days, except for maybe a cake you make in a coffee cup. But that one, I'm glad I can get stuff like that. And it's in good nick too. It's not a shabby copy. It's been well preserved. So that kind of stuff. And even though this has come out of Blu-ray, The Ugly American with Marlon Brando, another $1. This is the stuff I like getting. Let's see the chat. Captain Laser, hi. Terry says, Captain Laser, went to a Midnight Oil concert in 93. I blame Australia for any hearing loss. Well, yeah, you can blame Peter Garrett, but he's done some good work in politics since then. I tended not to like going to concerts because my ears would ring for ages afterwards. And the cost-benefit analysis I made was, no, thank you. Let's see what else we got. Friday says, picked up a Blu-ray of A Matter of Life and Death for £4 the other day. You live in the right place, Friday. That movie is worth preserving. Matter of Life and Death, and Colonel Blimp, and all of those Powell Pressburger movies are treasurable. Yes, I can't always afford to get a Criterion edition of them, but I can afford to get a decent edition of those movies and treasure them and rewatch them and just enjoy the humanitarian bent of all of the Powell and Pressburger movies. Darren says, op shops are my curated streaming service and I recycle the DVDs back to them. That's fair enough, Darren. Perfectly valid. If you're not going to use it, get it back into the shop so that somebody at some stage will love and appreciate the movies. Big Robin says, bargain. Evil Pixie 96. I'm lucky I live in a secondhand bookshop. Live above a secondhand bookshop, which also has loads of DVDs, and I tend to get first pick. It helps that it's my brother's shop. You really that nepotism is working for you, isn't it? Yeah, secondhand bookshops I love. They're increasingly rare because the economics don't support them anymore. But I spent a hell of a lot of my years wandering around dusty secondhand bookshops, acquiring a lot of stuff. There are a whole bunch of boxes just up there. Hang on, let me get my orientation right. Up there, just behind that block of wood, full of science fiction paperbacks, which I don't have shelf space for. Franny says, I like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which gave some British Army slang Walters people who pretend to have an army career. Yeah, I can see that. That remake with Ben Stiller wasn't very good back in the day, but the original is a lot of fun. David Fraser says, wife and I visited Danny's grave. Very nice spot. Yeah, there's so many rumours about Danny Kaye too, that he and Laurence Olivier were an item. And good luck to them if they were. There's a hidden gay history of cinema and of actors that I kind of enjoy knowing about. I don't do it in any pejorative way, but I appreciate that people were just as sexuality diverse in the old days as they are now, except that it could ruin careers and they could get arrested for it and jailed for it in a number of cases. But I like the fact that the rainbow has always been with us, though it has had to be hidden in previous decades. Damien says, op shops are really fantastic for amazing finds. Yeah. Occasionally, I get bored with seeing endless Baz Luhrmann films in op shops. I'm glad they're there because it means people aren't keeping them. And I don't like Baz Luhrmann's work, but they just clutter up my hunt for good movies in op shops. Carol says, I think we must have other film buffs where Richard works, as you found some Indicator and Arrow films and a ton of Harry Potter and Royal books for me. Yeah, the Harry Potter ones are all over op shops at the moment. People are just ditching all of their Harry Potter collections. I don't think I've been in an op shop with any substantial DVD or Blu-ray collection that didn't have whole sets of Harry Potter movies. People are getting rid of them. Obviously, they were kids when they saw them and they had the discs, and then they've moved and just gone to streaming for that. Captain Laser says, The Day the Clown Cried, Jerry Lewis's Hidden for Decades Holocaust movie. It's in the Library of Congress and may get a viewing this year. Worst movie ever made and deserves to be hidden. I don't know. I think that any movie should at least find an audience. I think it's a stupid film. I think the idea of Jerry Lewis playing a clown in death camps, essentially, to get the pathos sympathy for Jerry Lewis's career is a bad move. I think that it's good that he's embracing his heritage. It's bad that he chose to do it in such a way and that he was wrong-headed enough and didn't listen to dissenting voices enough to not make the movie. Yeah, Friday, I'd like to see it once as well. And I could probably get a good review on the channel for it if it does in any way emerge in a way that I can access. But it's not a movie I'd be looking forward to. And it's not a movie that I would want a physical copy of necessarily. But yeah, I mean, that one's been talked about for decades. I want to see the Batgirl movie, which Warner Brothers canned. It only came out recently. Had Brendan Fraser as the big bad in it, but they decided it wasn't good enough, so they canned it. It's a shame. I wouldn't mind seeing that movie. Yeah, Captain Laser, seeing it out of curiosity would be great. But there are so many interesting films around that whether or not we need to see it, yeah, curiosity, absolutely. But whether we need to see it or not is another matter. Let's have a look at what else I've watched this month because there's a couple of. Oh, yeah, I've got to talk about that one. Give me a moment. Brendan Fraser needs more work and love. He's also absolutely. He maybe we should rewatch the Mummy movies, Middle Aged Geek Girl. What do you reckon? Carol says Richard is so well known in the charity shops where he works. He gets to look in the back rooms, and sometimes they come to his shop to let him know about stuff they've got. Yeah, yeah, fantastic. For me, around here, there's not a hell of a lot of stuff in the op shops. There are a number of op shops, but the pickings tend to be very prosaic. So we've got to go a lot further afield, I think. I think we've got to go to places like Elstonwick in the posh areas where a flat will cost you $1 million. Those are the kind of places middle-aged giggle and what I want to hit for the various things we both collect from op shops. Yeah, Big Rob N said, first Mummy movie is amazing. Middle-aged good girl says, I have a list. Yeah, she's got a list of crafty things she wants to get for her various hobbies. Yeah. Big Rob N says, I fell in love with Rachel Weisz. So did Daniel Craig. He married her. Inkheart, yeah, Friday, Inkheart. Brendan Fraser had such an interesting career. Probably for me, the one I really like him in the most is Gods and Monsters, where you've got Ian McKellen playing James Whale, who directed Frankenstein. And he kind of falls in love with Brendan Fraser's character. Really interesting film. And Fraser does fantastic. He's punching equally to McKellen in this drama. It really is a film I've probably got to find a physical copy of, I think, because I really love Gods and Monsters. And that was the movie that really nailed down for me. This guy can act. In the same way, people diss Robert Pattinson for the stuff he did 15 years ago. But Pattinson's a solid character actor. And he's done a number of things which are really great. He's Batman. I really like for the different take on it. But a lot of people dismiss him because he did Twilight. Captain Laser says, I mentioned Batting with Robert Wagner. Why do I like it? I've never seen it and curious to know more. Yeah, Batting's this golf drama with Robert Wagner playing a kind of golfer who got taken off the national tournaments for cheating. And he goes to a country club where somebody he was on the tournaments with works, played by Guy Stockwell. And it's this kind of 1960s Playboy Mansion kind of movie. It's got Jill St. John in it and Anjanette Comer. Gene Hackman in a small role as a drunk golf pro. It's just got that slick Universal Studios 1960s vibe about it. It's a redemption story, which I really like. And the way the movie shoots golf makes it exciting. It's a hidden gem. Umbrella Entertainment put it out a few years ago on DVD, but they could only get a pan and scan print of it. And so they released it anyway, and I picked up a copy of it. Robert Chamberlain says, Ugly American is also good. He seems to act well off other actors. Yeah. Brando, when he had other actors to push against, was really fantastic. Franny says that Pattinson's Batman is brilliant. And Colin says, I like Pattinson in the Batman. And Tenet, yeah, in Tenet he does a sly job of being a really interesting character who has to hide as much as he reveals. Damien says, Gods and Monsters, really underrated film. Yeah. And Carol says, we do go to other towns in Kent when we have time off. I'm learning to dance and getting most of my dance dresses from that way too. People are starting to lose the snobby attitude towards secondhand. Recycling secondhand stuff is useful, and when it's movies, how can you lose? Middle-aged Geeko says, if Batman gets any darker and grittier, it'll just be a black screen for 3 hours. Thanks for that hot take. Did you see the Batman Middle-aged Geeko? We've got it on 4K. If you want to see it, I'll slip you the disc. Captain Laser, thanks, Terry. Make some good recommendations. Well, that's what the channel's about. Me kind of mining my misspent youth and recommending the good stuff to people is what the channel is about. Darren says, less time for work. Have a good day, night, yesterday. Or Darren, thanks for dropping in. Sorry about the dropout in quality. Can't be helped from this end. But take care and have a good day, mate. Friday says, question are movies with Joe in the title underrated? Joe versus the Volcano, Joe's Apartment, Mighty Joe Young. Let's see. Joe versus the Volcano is a really weird movie. I don't even know why it was made. Joe's Apartment I like for all the CGI cockroaches. Mighty Joe Young, of course. Willis O'Brien's special effects in that are fantastic. That one I should rewatch. But some are, some aren't. middle-aged geek girl says she did watch the Batman and slipped me the disc. Is that a euphemism? It can be if you want it to be. But yeah, I'm glad I got the Batman on 4K. It looks really good, and I think because of the cinematography, some movies like that really benefit from 4K. If you can get it on DVD, if you can get it on Blu-ray, I understand. But if you can get it on 4K, the cinematography really enriches the experience. The higher definition you can get. I mean, Dick Powell says Clint Eastwood film Joe Kidd. I haven't seen it for a very long time. My favorite Clint Eastwood movie is Paint Your Wagon, where he sings with Lee Marvin. But yeah, Clint Eastwood, a lot of his movies, particularly the Dirty Harry ones, they're mean spirited. His character is an asshole and doesn't give us any reason to be sympathetic toward him. Joe with Peter Ball, yeah, FG, that movie is fantastic. That movie really shows the problems and the perils of people with a deeply right-wing philosophy. I do have a copy of it on DVD. I should go and rewatch it. Sorry about the cough there. I should go and rewatch it because really interesting artifact. Susan Sarandon may be the first film. Okay, and says I rewatched Magnum Force yesterday. Love it. Have I seen Mad God? It gave a Razorhead vibe. No, I haven't yet. I don't know whether it's going to get a physical release here. Man, I'm not sure which streaming services it'll be on, but I hear Mad God's really a mind trip. And Phil Tippett is a genius with special effects. Let's see what else I've been watching. I'll go into my letterbox. Oh, yeah, I've got to talk about this one because I got distracted. Argylle. I saw Argylle, the new movie with Henry Cavill, Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, and all the other guys, made by Matthew Vaughn, who also made all the Kingsman movies, and has kind of found himself a niche doing quirky, over-the-top comedy spy films. And this one really spun my head around. In Argylle, you get Cavill playing secret agent Argylle. John Cena plays his assistant. But basically, they're characters in novels written by Ellie Conway, played by Bryce Dallas Howard. And one of the things that is found out as she gets involved in all the spy stuff is that she seems to be predicting the future and predicting things that actually happen in spy areas. And so she becomes a valuable asset to not only the good guys, but the bad guys as well. And you don't know who the good and bad guys are. This one is a lot of fun because there are 5 different major plot twists in the film. You get the spy stuff of Henry Cavill at the start. You find out that it's actually a novel that Ellie is writing. That's the only spoiler I'm going to give you. And then there are 5 plot twists that really knock your head around during the movie. The spy stuff is fantastic. It's beautifully colorful. It's silly as hell. And it's really entertaining. It is actually links into the Kingsman universe as well. People are kind of dismissing it, but it's a very knowing and clever film. And it's got people like Bryan Cranston in it, Samuel L. Jackson's in it, Dua Lipa's in it. Really interesting, solid character actors and stars. Catherine O'Hara's in it playing Ellie's mother. That one is a fun movie to check out if you haven't. How long has the live stream gone on for? It says Timothy, 39 minutes, 15 seconds. But yeah, it kind of works as a spy film. It works as a movie. Don't go in with any more information than I've already just given you, and you're going to have a good time with Argylle. Let's look at the chat. Carol says, we've been watching a load of film trailers from the 70s in the Drive-In Delirium from Umbrella. 70s seem to be very dark and bleak. Yeah, I love the Drive-In Delirium series. I've got them. Some of them I got on DVD, some on Blu-ray. And they're all just trailer compilations from the 60s and 70s. And there's a lot of mad movies in the 70s that still haven't got like high quality releases on physical media. They're fun. Friday says quirky spy films are a jam. Matt Helm and the Flint movies. Yeah, I saw the Matt Helm films when I was a kid. We'd go to Saturday matinees and they'd have Dean Martin kissing Sid Charisse and shit like that. Yeah, Friday says, I love Jason Statham setting himself up in Spy. Yeah, Statham is very knowing. He's got his tongue slightly in his cheek in this part of his career. The Beekeeper is a lot of fun to watch if you haven't seen that yet. And Statham knows what kind of movie it is and plays up to that. It's got some really good action and stunt work in it. His character's a little bit different for Statham in an interesting way. And it knows what kind of action film it is, and it plays to that perfectly. It's pitch perfect for that kind of movie, and I enjoyed it much more than I expected to. Tim says Raquel and I are going to see Argylle later today. It'll be good. You'll enjoy it. Just sit back, let all the plot twists roll over you, and you'll have a good time with that. Yeah, I already told Timothy that it was 40 minutes ago. But yeah, Argylle I enjoyed. And because I've got the Australian Film Critics Association card, I can pop in their cinemas and not have to pay for the tickets, which feels almost like, when you're a little kid and you wish you could sneak into cinemas without paying and sneak past the ticket collectors? It feels like that in the best possible way. I want to see some more films. There are a couple of films coming out in the next few weeks that I want to see. I want to see the second Dune movie, which I will see. Denis Villeneuve's second part of Dune. I'm going to really go and see that in the best possible cinema I can. The Dry 2, the second movie of The Dry with Eric Bana, which is an Australian crime thing. I want to see that, and that's coming out next week. And yeah, those kind of movies I want to check out, and I will review, because the whole thing about being a part of the Australian Film Critics Association is reviewing. I saw Argylle using that card as well. So I'm going to link to this live stream on the Australian Film Critics. I've actually got myself a link tree where I put all of the videos I do, which are reviews for those for the Australian Film Critics Association. I'll put that on my link tree. Yep, you're going to be a cinema widow, middle-aged geek girl, so you can get your own channel done. Post a link to your channel in the chat, middle-aged geek girl. Give yourself some love. But yeah, a lot of interesting films coming up. June particularly I want to see, because I've seen the trailer, and we've got a lot more of Fade Ralpher and the Bistro Barn in that one. And you get to see Christopher Walken playing the Emperor Shaddam IV, the Emperor of the Empire. Yeah, I'm there for that. I really want to check that out. And I like the way Denis Villeneuve does interesting things with special effects. In the first one, they didn't have a green screen. What they had was a big kind of curtain of sand falling in the background. And that was used as the basis of all the background special effects. Weird stuff like that. There's Middle-Aged Geek Girl's link for her channel, which is a lot of fun if you're into crafting, and people should subscribe to it and watch the videos, because she's incredibly good at describing what she's doing with her crafts. But let's see what else I've been watching. I watched The Man Who Had Power Over Women, which excuse me, which is a Rod Taylor film from 1970, directed by John Krish, who is mostly a documentary filmmaker. Give me a sec. There's another movie of John Krish that I know people have seen that is really interesting. Let me just get it up on the wiki and the Pedia. He did Unearthly Stranger in 1963, the one with John Neville and the alien invasion in England. But he also did this movie with Rod Taylor called The Man Who Had Power Over Women. And it's about a guy who is an executive in a record company. He's a kind of talent executive, played by Rod Taylor, who's going through a midlife crisis. He and his wife separate. He has an affair with his best friend's wife. And in the meantime, he is managing this rock star who is a nightmare and who is a really nasty person. But the men who have power over women is a bit of a hidden gem. The problem it has is it doesn't know whether it's a comedy or a drama, whether it's a commentary on 1970 pop culture. But the weird choice it makes is from the viewpoint of a middle-aged man talking about a background of youth culture. And it's got some other good actors in it. James Booth in it. Who else is in there? Clive Francis and a bunch of other actors. But there's some interesting street scenes because John Krish was mostly a documentarian on the streets of Paris and on the streets of London, which I find really interesting. But it was put out by Indicator. And The Man Who Had Power Over Women I really enjoyed. I saw it first in the cinema when it came out. And it's really fun. James Booth in it as well, playing the best friend. And he's an interesting character actor. But The Man Who Had Power Over Women was a nice haul for me because it's a movie that I remember from a long time ago. And it held up when I watched it in a modern context. Let me just get some things up here. Has the stream what have people been watching? Let me know in the chat what you've been watching as well, because I'm interested to see what stuff other people have watched lately. Has the chat frozen? I sincerely hope not. Let's see, any coffee left? Oh, there's a bit of coffee left. Hang on. Hello, middle-aged geek girl. She's there at least. Carol says, Sing 2 and Disney films for you. I never saw Sing. I'm kind of a bit off on Disney films. Colin says, watch Rosemary's Baby for the first time in a long time. Yeah, that was originally going to be directed by William Castle, who was the producer on it. But the studio decided to go with Polanski. Would have been interesting to see what a William Castle version of Rosemary's Baby would have been like. Not sure. Dick Power says, watch Panic in Year Zero this afternoon. Yeah, Panic in Year Zero is a really interesting Ray Milland movie. Post-apocalyptic. And I think it may have been the movie that inspired about 30 million doomsday preppers. Because it's got a kind of proto-doomsday prepper philosophy about it, which is interesting and scary both at the same time. Friday says, finally got around to watching Barbie. What do you think of it? Yeah, everybody would have been given baby dolls with horns, says Timothy. Yeah. Middle-aged good girl's been watching found footage films on YouTube. Evil Pixie 96 watched Firefox and Hollywood Story. Hollywood Story is interesting too. Is that a William Castle film? I think it might be. Give me a moment. I'm just going to double check these things. It is. It's a William Castle film. So there's a bit of synchronicity for you. Let's have a look. Yeah, Friday loved it. Garfield watched Ice Station Zebra and Son of Samson and Quatermass in the Pit. That's a nice triple feature. Very diverse. Robert Chamberlain, hi. Finally got to see Tetsuo the Iron Man. Strange but interesting. Glad it's only 67 minutes long, but that's the length. It was effective, yeah. You got to see the second one as too, the Body Hammer. I've got them both on a double DVD set. Those kind of extreme splatter-punky Japanese punk films are interesting. Carol said, saw The Stepford Wives for the first time. Richard is trying to educate me. Yeah, The Stepford Wives is kind of interesting. If you look at the first of William Goldman's books, Adventures in the Screen Trade, he did the script and worked on The Stepford Wives. And it was directed by Brian Forbes, and his wife was one of the actresses in it. And they changed all the costumes because his wife had bad legs. And so all the costumes had to change, and all the other actresses had to adapt their costumes because Brian Forbes wanted his wife Nanette Newman in the movie, and her legs weren't up to wearing short dresses. Ben Ed says, last week watched Dog Day Afternoon, Thunderbirds Ago, The Glory Boys, and Chesty Morgan in Double Agent 73. I saw Double Agent 73 in the cinema, and it scared me. I mean, if you haven't seen Double Agent 73, Google it later. I'm not going to describe it on YouTube because I may get a copyright strike or demonetized. But it's about a woman who uses her chest to assassinate people. Tim says, love Quatermass in the Pit. Colin Watt says, also watched Infinity Pool. Infinity Pool, I did that video about. Infinity Pool is a definite mind game of a movie. Really confronting. Brandon Cronenberg directed it, of course. And Mia Goth in that is scary and nasty. Professor Strangefinger says, Farah, I just discovered that you were streaming. Good to see you. Hi, Professor Strangefinger. Welcome aboard. We've still got a bit over an hour for the live stream, so you're going to get a little bit of meat on the bone there. Carol says it was disturbing, Infinity Pool. Yeah, absolutely. Dog Day Afternoon, fantastic movie with a trans plot. Absolutely frightening. And that is one of the strong points of it. I really should rewatch it. I know I've got a Blu-ray of it, and I've seen it about 2 or 3 times, but it might be this year to rewatch Dog Day Afternoon and just enjoy Pacino and Chris Sarandon, I think, plays his trans partner in that one. FG says, we watched Shazam 2 last week. I was disappointed. Yeah, Shazam 2 is really ordinary. How can you screw up a film with Helen Mirren in it? They manage it. And yeah, it's meh at best. Tim says, Blood on the Mummy's Tomb, Vampire Bat, 20 Million Miles to Earth, The Chosen, and Zombie High. You've been really going in the drama directions, haven't you, Tim? Friday says, Shazam 2 is very disappointing. An interesting character, but the film, but the first film had me engaged. Kind of don't know that I like Zachary Levi that much. And I think that, maybe I'm not the target audience for the Shazam movies. I'm not in love with them. Black Adam I like more because it had things like Dr. Fate played by Pierce Brosnan, even though it is very much a star turn, trying to get The Rock to do $1 billion franchise. But I like Black Adam more than I like Shazam. Carol says, Richard's film collection has grown a lot since we started watching your channel. Don't blame me. That's on him. Tim says, Raquel gave me a gift card for Christmas. I bought a lot of Blu-rays. Good. More the better. FG says, John Cazale was a partner in Dog Day Afternoon. John Cazale was in the bank with him. Chris Sarandon was the partner, I'm fairly sure, in Dog Day Afternoon. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. David says, watch Countess from Hong Kong, last Chaplin film directed. Musical called Sherlock, which I'm in the middle of writing about Sherlock Holmes and musicals. It's on YouTube, filmed in black and white. I found it okay. Okay, that's interesting. The Chosen, aka Holocaust 2000, has 2 endings. Also has a weird Morricone score, says Garfield Smith. The best weird Morricone score I know of is the Richard Burton Bluebeard. And it seems to have a score that was written for kazoo. And again, really a weird film. But Bluebeard is definitely a mind trip. Tim says it's Chris Sarandon as a partner. Chris says I meant that in a good way. I know you did, yeah. From what I remember, you're right about Dog Day Afternoon, says Dick. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chris Sarandon was the partner. And again, that was bold to put that in the movie. A lot of Hollywood at the time would have nixed the subplot of Sonny having a trans partner. But they went in the right direction for that. And again, it's on that path of acceptance that was slow in a lot of things. One of my best movie books to read, and I recommend this to everybody, is The Celluloid Closet, Vita Russo's book about gays in cinema. It is one of the iconic movie reference books about how gays have been perceived in cinema from the start of cinema up until the 1970s. I highly recommend that book. I've got a copy of it here on the shelves, and it's a great reference book for me and for the channel. Yep, John Cazale is Pacino's partner in crime, not life, says Tim. Mr. Diaz Gen Z, you haven't watched Holocaust 2000 since the days of going down to the neighbours and watching inappropriate VHSs. That'd be the way to do it. Let's see, Colin Watts. Chris Sarandon is definitely his wife. My friend had a huge crush on Chris Sarandon, especially in Fright Night. Yeah. Yeah, Ben Edit confirms that as well. David says, watch clips from musicals in Japan called Lupin, set in 1890. It also has homes in it. Timothy says they still would mix it, probably to a certain extent. I think that you can't be what you can't see. And the more movies we have that accept gay relationships and trans people, the less it's going to be a problem for gay people and trans people. Visibility matters. And the best movies that address those issues address it in a loving way. And I think we need to see more of that in cinema. And I don't care what the Conservatives say. I don't care what the TERFs say. I don't care what J.K. Rowling says. Trans women are women. And that's my statement on it for this channel and ongoing on this channel. Let's see. Yeah, so what else? I actually picked up a couple of things I haven't watched yet. This one is creepy. It's a Charles Bronson movie with Susan George in it called Lola. She's almost 16. He's almost 40. Let me know if you want me to review this one on the channel. It's probably creepy as hell. Who directed it? Richard Donner directed this one. It's got a good supporting cast. Trevor Howard, Jack Hawkins, Lionel Jeffries, Robert Morley. I should probably do this one and cringe while I'm doing it. Mr. Diaz Genzi says, so my list to watch movies from a few years now. February's with nobody. Charlie's Angels 2019. Both Game of Deaths, including the hilarious patch-up, plus Antebellum and Alice. Wow. Joseph Francis Targets with Karloff and Bogdanovich, bankrolled by Roger Corman. Targets is a great movie. I really should do Targets for this channel. Middle-aged Geek Girl, can you write down Targets 1968 for me, please? Grantman71 says, saw the Aussie movie from the 80s called Savage Attraction. Wrong front cover, looked like an American slasher film. Yeah, hold that thought, Grantman. I've got a movie to show you in a moment. Friday says, fantastic cast. Will you believe consent can really be given? Yeah, that's it. This one, creepy as hell. Yeah. Thank you, middle-aged girl. Targets, I like. The fact that Karloff went there late in his career is a credit to him as an actor. Now, the Australian movie Lola is such a weird film, says Damien. The reason I said hold that thought about Australian films is I found this in an op shop. I've already got a copy of it, but I wanted to preserve it, and I may well give it away to somebody at some stage in the future. I'm just going to get it out of the case first. Found another copy of Wake in Fright in an op shop. And the cool thing is, it's in a slipcase, and it's got a booklet as well, and some more pictures. If this one's better than the copy I've already got, and I forget which format the copy I've got is, I'm keeping this one, and I might put together a small box set of curated movies for subscribers and particularly patrons to the channel on Patreon. And I'm going to include at least one copy of Wake in Fright in that, and then do a giveaway to one person and wear the postal costs. But I wanted to really preserve that one and make sure it didn't get chucked out in the rubbish or something by keeping that copy of Wake in Fright, knowing that somebody somewhere would appreciate a copy of it. Timothy says, I saw The Chosen as a 3-movie all-night grindhouse back when I was regularly going to the San Diego's Horton Plaza with 2 other movies I forget. Targets would be great for the channel, Damien, yeah. Professor Strangefinger, what I don't miss about the VHS days is those terrifying moments when the VCR would get hungry. The victims mangled beyond recognition. And Tim says, probably 70 slasher films done on the cheap. Yeah, I mean, I had a number of VHS tapes chewed up. And I always got frustrated by, when people didn't rewind and you were renting a tape and you really wanted to watch something, you had to rewind the whole bloody thing. Damien says, I've never seen that edition of Wake. Yeah, it's actually a Madman edition, Damien. Grabman says, thanks, Terry. Try to find Wake in Fright in the Canada edition. Yep. Roger Morgan says, most Bronson films not shown on TV anymore. I love Mr. Majestic, not considered PC nowadays. Mr. Majestic was based on a novel, I think, by Elmore Leonard. I don't care whether things are politically correct. I think politically correct is a booby trap for anybody. I think that movies are contextualized by their time, and I try to do that when I talk about them on the channel. But people who go, oh, that could never be made now, are missing the point. It was made. Yes, the movie had certain beliefs and certain attitudes that we no longer share, but it doesn't matter whether it will be made now or not. The movie's there. You can contextualize it and appreciate some qualities while abhorring other qualities of the film. It's a booby trap. There's no good to come from saying something's not PC or saying something's not woke or saying something can never be made now. It's a dead end you don't really need to go down. Tim says, Mr. Death is some crap blaxploitation movie like Black Street Fighter. Co-starring John McGraney as the crooked Sergeant Heineken. Okay, fair enough. Mr. DS Gen Z, I only had 1 or 2 VHS tapes get chewed. One was when I was recording an American film show called Cinema Attractions, when they showed a bit of the making of The Abyss. Yep, Damien has the Blu-ray edition of Wake in Fright. I think I might as well, but we'll check. But finding this for $1 was incredible. The only other thing I've really got lately I've got a couple more. As soon as I said that, a couple more. Dick Power says, we had Murphy's Law shown recently on TV, not one of Bond's best, but it brought back memories of VHS rental days. Murphy's Law is also filmed in the Bradbury building in Los Angeles, which is that iconic Art Deco-y building. Now, interesting for that point of view. David Fraser, take care. You have a good day. Enjoy your movie watching. Thanks for dropping in too. This one's got a bit of brown face in it, which means it's not popular these days. Roger Morgan says, my Echo VHS recorder was the only thing that was affected by the Millennium Bug. You poor bastard. Evil Pixie 96. The Last Dragon covers many bases of blaxploitation, kung fu, and Motown all in one movie. It did. And Bed says that VHS crunchy sound used to freeze my blood. Absolutely. Only occasionally happened to me, but when it did, it was soul crushing. Picked this up for $1 as well. Cartoon with Charlton Heston, Laurence Olivier, Richard Johnson, and Ralph Richardson, with Laurence Olivier playing an Arab. Got a copy of that. Doug says, bloody hell, stepped in. Hi, Terry. Hi, Doug. How you doing? Tim says, if you say a movie's not PC, then Mantan Moore and Step and Fetch It and Really Best don't have careers. Yeah, Hattie McDaniels too, though that was less insulting. Mr. Diaz, is the 4K release of The Abyss, True Lies, and others out yet in Australia? No. A lot of things don't come out on 4K here. Carol says, cartoons have been shown on TV in the UK twice recently. Well, you do have a conservative government, don't you? What's the best thing I bought for an unbelievable price? Ken says. Just so many things. It's about knowing the quality of things. So I can go through a whole stack of DVDs and Blu-rays, particularly at Laverton Market, my local market. They've got shelves where they stick them horizontally, and they're about that, like about a meter tall stack of movies. And the one you want's 3 from the bottom. It's knowing what they are before you buy them. And as to what's the best one, the next one I get's going to be the best one. There's just so many interesting things I've found at the bottom of meter-high stacks of discs that I appreciate. Waking Fright was sitting in an odd corner, almost in shadows, at Laverton Market when I got it. And I really like the little store, which sells a whole bunch of other things. I think they sell illegal vapes. They sell collectible cards. They sell candles shaped like penises, all sorts of weird little stuff in this little market store. They're very nice people, and they often give me a discount for buying a bunch of discs. But it's hard to say what the best buy was. I did get an imprint version of what was it, Conquest of Space, for $2 at an op shop. Things like that. Let's see. It's out on March 12th in the UK. Been wanting a Blu-ray of the Water and Horsey one. Yeah, I'm not that big on James Cameron movies, to be honest with you. I think they're spectacular and they're cutting edge as far as technology is concerned. But I've yet to see a James Cameron movie that has any heart to it, and I'm including Titanic there. Damien says, JB DVD and Blu-ray has consolidated all TV together, anime and kids in small along the classics. So, yeah, JB seems to be diminishing the size of the DVD and Blu-ray and physical media collections they have in the stores, which is a bit of a shame. Friday says, I've been introducing younger friends to the joys of Ealing comedies, starting with Kind Hearts and Coronets, Down the Aristocracy, absolutely, and Passport to Pimlico. Yep, you can't go wrong with an Ealing comedy. There's always an awareness of class in an Ealing comedy, which I always appreciated. You even get it in things like the Eric and Ernie Wise and Eric Morecambe movies, and in On the Buses, for instance, and also particularly in George Formby movies. There is an awareness of class, an awareness of the fact that the honesty of George Formby's characters will always prevail in spite of rich, entitled assholes. Yeah, let's see, what else have I got here? Yeah, I love George Formby films as well. They're a lot of fun. I've got a whole bunch of them. I treasure all of them. This is one of the other ones I got. The movie that the Daniels did before they did Everything Everywhere All at Once. Now, this is a slightly ratty case. But for $1, I picked up Swiss Army Man with Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano. This is a mad movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen the trailer. And I'm looking forward to watching Swiss Army Man. That one's a recommend from me. Even though I haven't seen it, I like what the Daniels do, and I like the surreal aspects of their filmmaking. Friday says, Amazon keeps trying to sell me the box sets on Facebook of George Formby. Cool. Hobson's Choice fits in well with Ealing comedies. I love it when Charles Laughton did comedies. He had such range as an actor, but in comedies, he was always kind of puckish, like an overaged child. And I always appreciated that. Did Formby's wife knock him around? Rumors. Yeah, I think if not knocking him around, she did impede his career. And she was insanely jealous of his co-stars and was publicly and openly disparaging of the women that George Formby co-starred within his movies. And for him, it was a relief and a release when his wife died. This one's a hidden gem Australian film that I've heard about but I haven't watched yet. It's a drama about a cop with tinnitus, and it's violent, and I hear great things about it. It's a movie called Noise, with Brendan playing a cop who gets sent out to a very dodgy area to do some work. There's the inside cover, and there's the cop played by Brendan Cowell. This one's definitely a hidden gem. Like I said, I haven't seen it, but I hear incredible things about it. And again, it's one I picked up in a slipcase for $1. This is the stuff I love preserving in physical media because it's unloved and it deserves to be acknowledged. So I'm going to watch that and enjoy it, hopefully. But hidden gem Australian movies that got a fairly good release. I mean, who did this one? It is another Mad Men release. Really don't get enough credit, and I'm glad that I got a copy of that. And again, I will watch it. The only other thing I've got for you as far as halls are concerned is TV, and yeah, Noise is excellent. It's TV, and it's from about 15 years ago or so. TV Funhouse, which is a kind of comedy thing about puppet animals and this guy called Doug. And it's crazy. It's transgressive. The animals take drugs and puke and have their own travails. It's got Robert Goulet in it as Robert Goulet. And you get all these weird co-stars turning up. Really weird. And it makes fun of those childish, the kids' TV series where you have puppet animals and a human host. I love TV Funhouse. It's just such weird, transgressive, off the wall, filthy fun. Damien brought Ealing rarities from the 30s and 50s from Network before they fell apart. Professor Strange Figure says, I started watching Frog Dreamy last night. Young Henry Thomas in that one. Yeah, it was one of those movies where they got American actors into Australian movies for no good reason, which is a bit of a shame because there are Australian actors who can act. What does middle-aged good girl like to watch? She likes to watch herself killing zombies and computer games. Doug says, love my Thief of Baghdad poster. Yeah, that one's great. I really love it too. And the movie I love, we've got it on Blu-ray. Thief of Baghdad is one of the great fantasy action films. And it just works at so many levels. Conrad Veidt is like the best villain in a movie of that type ever. His Jafar is truly scary and toxically male in a really confronting kind of way for a 1940 movie. Yeah, middle-aged girl's more a gamer or really bad CGI monster movies and shark movies. Yep. If I find a new shark movie, I've got to buy it for middle-aged geek girl because she will watch it and enjoy it, and I keep hearing giggles from the other room when she's watching them. Yeah, she's a shark movie chick. She'll get more t-shirts with sharks on it. That may be the next gift I get her. Sharks. Regarding zombie murder, I just watched last week Days Gone. I don't know that one, Colin. I'm just going to look it up. Okay, it's a computer game by Bend Studios. I wonder if that's on format. It's on a PlayStation 4, middle-aged geek girl. Might be one for you to look at. I'll post the link in the channel because middle-aged geek girl needs more zombies. Roger Morgan says, prefer practical special effects like Harryhausen's and CGI. I think it's about how it's handled. Stop motion and CGI are both tools for storytelling. It depends on how good you do them that matters. Yeah, Harryhausen was a master. I've got no question about that. But I've also seen CGI that worked where through the way they do it, you get the sense of the physics in a very powerful way. You know, a punch lands in a CGI movie that's done well, and it has a visceral impact. They're tools. I don't mind either. I just object to them being done badly. Motival says, thanks for mentioning TV Funhouse. I just ordered a copy of TV Funhouse is just great. Good girl will probably love the film trailers we saw in the 70s. Lots of zombies, horror, and kung fu. Yeah, I should show her the DVD Delirium. Love the stop motion in Flash Gordon 2. I like the stop motion in Flash Gordon 1. The Penosaurus is a masterpiece of stop motion. Carol says, it's still jumping jaws. Goes to prove it's a good film. Colin says, the stop motion in Mad God was good, also blended with live action animatronics or puppets. Yep. Speaking of sharks, I've told this story to Middle Aged Geeko. When I was a kid, there was a kind of amusement pier in Manly in Sydney. And one of the things they had was a shark tank with a whole bunch of different sharks they fished out of Sydney Harbour, swimming around in a shark tank so that people could see what they looked like, so they could recognize them when they went swimming. And there was a thing where you could flip a coin into the tank. And the idea was you flip a coin into the tank and try to land it on the back of a shark. And that was the fun thing that we did. Middle-aged Geek Girl has just made me aware of the fact that she has Days Gone already. Have you played it? She hasn't played it yet, but she does have a copy of Days Gone.
I'll put it in the comment, Troy.
Okay, sorry. Tim has to go and pick up Raquel so they can watch Argylle. Enjoy. See you, Tim. Hope you guys enjoy it, you and Raquel. Wasn't a woman attacked by... Yeah, she was. She was attacked by a shark in Sydney Harbour. It was a bull shark. She got bitten in the leg. It happens. The bull sharks and old sharks go into Sydney Harbour. And one of the things that people have been learning in Sydney Harbour is you don't let your dog go and play in the water in Sydney Harbour because chances are a shark will get it. Because sharks, for reasons known only to sharks, love a bit of dog meat. And every now and then a dog will get eaten in Sydney Harbour because somebody threw a stick into the water and the dog went in there and got chomped by a shark. Mysterious Island was your favourite as a kid, DB Cooper? Yeah, it's 1960s, by the way. The Mysterious Island works. It's got the giant crab. It's got the giant bird. All that fun stuff. Ken says, I broke my mum's thumb when watching Jaws with her when the head fell off the boat. Shit, man. That's got to really mess with your head every time you watch that movie. Flash Gordon was hysterical, says FG. I saw it in a midnight show way back. I saw it in the first session it showed in Australia. So I was at the premiere of Flash Gordon in Australia at the Academy Twin Cinemas in Paddington. They did a midnight session in the 1970s. And I got given one of the posters, which I've lost. And I hate the fact that I've lost that poster. There you go, Middle-Aged Good Guy. There's another movie to find. Great White, a 1981 Italian rip-off of Jaws. Have I covered Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom Beam? No, I haven't, Franny. Is it any good? Because I don't know anything about it. Maybe I should. It sounds like something I should know something about. Let me just clean up these DVDs and Blu-rays. Put them down there. Yeah, the Flash Gordon was available. Also available with porn scenes, doesn't improve any. Friday says, I like Jim Varney. I like Jim Varney. Jim Varney was an underrated actor. Yeah, he played Ernest, but he was an underrated actor. I don't mind Flash Gordon with or without the porn scenes. There was a time when adult films were worth watching. Things like the Alice in Wonderland version that Bill Oscar did is really worth watching because it's got song and dance numbers in it. And Alice is a kind of repressed librarian who goes down the rabbit hole after the White Rabbit and finds herself in various interesting ways. I like that one. I've got a copy of it. And I think there's a strange combination of innocence, fairly high production values, and the adult stuff as well. And it's strangely cute, which seems odd, but the adult version of Alice in Wonderland does have a lot of virtues to it. Friday says, first appearance of Ernest, but much darker tone and science fiction and funny. Middle-aged Geeko, can you write down Dr. Otto and the riddle of the gloom beam, please?
Yeah, I've lost it. I've lost speed, everything.
Okay. Middle-aged Geeko is offline for the moment, but I will definitely write that down myself. And she's also got to let cats in and out, which is one of the perils. I'm writing down the Dr. Otto. I know this is fascinating to watch me write things down. Yeah, there's so many movies that you can't know every movie, which is part of the fun, which is also part of the curse. I'd love to know every movie, but then there'd be nothing new to discover. It's like being Alexander the Great. There are no more worlds to conquer, as Hans Gruber said in Die Hard. But one of the nice things for me at the moment, and the thing that I'm really in love with at the moment, is finding new lo-fi science fiction movies that appear in a few film festivals and then just disappear. But occasionally in Australia, we get some of them turning up on physical media, and then I'll pick them up fairly cheaply and recommend them. But that's the stuff I'm really in love with at the moment. Professor Strangefigure says, I want to get my mitts on a decent copy of Cat with Sunglasses. Apparently it's difficult to find. I haven't heard about it. Let me have a look right there, Cat with Sunglasses as well. Yep, Friday, we've got a copy of Orca. Here's Jill. Here's our other pussycat. Hey, baby girl. She's the big back furry one who never appears on the camera. Carol says, can you show us a picture of Jill sometime and maybe her and Luna playing? There you go, Carol. That was Jill. That was our big girl. Her and Luna playing is a hard one to get. Professor Strangefigure says, 60s fantasy film, I think. I'll look it up and see if I can find a copy. And if I can, I'll try to review it. There you go. But yeah, Jill's shy. She's always been shy. She was actually a foundling. She was a feral cat kitten that was dumped at a veterinarian's place, and the vet was a friend of ours. And so we picked up Jill. She's a good-natured cat, but she is very shy and skittish. But yeah, I mean, both of our cats we love. But Jill being as shy, occasionally I get to pat her, but for the most part, she'll sit nearby and be companionable, but not cuddly. And then that's fine. One of the things middle-aged good girl and I discuss is how you've got to let your cats have their own nature. And middle-aged good girl's feet has balked. She can see the chat, but she can't watch the video. Well, you know what I look like, so it doesn't matter. It's also known as the Cassandra cat. Thanks for that. Writing that down. $1963. Okay, 1963. There we go. Got it written down. Does anybody have favourite pens? I've got these Lamy pens, which I love. I'll buy any Lamy pen I can get my hands on because they're the best pens around. Let's see, 1963. Why don't I know about that? But let's see, is there anything else I want to mention that I've watched this month? Don't recommend that, don't recommend that. Going to do that in a future video. Nothing particularly, but I'm impressed with the fact that I've watched 43 movies so far this year. Also known as When the Cat Comes. No, I've got to watch that. Just bought a second Lamy 2000, a bit extravagant, but I love them. Yeah, Lamy pens are great. Evil Pixie 96. Due to infection, I lost a chunk of my memory. The upside of this is I get to watch a load of movies for the second time. It was a gift of sorts. Yeah, I can see that. I'm sorry that you've gone through that, but if you're finding an upside to it, great. Sometimes you got to do that with adversity. Rotring art pens, being an artist, have plenty of those, but they're expensive, Roger says. Yeah, I really should get one or two of those because I do like them. I had one back in the day. Just a reminder to check out La Moustache. Carol says, our Rocky is a tuxedo cat. Cool. But Jill, I love. When our other cat, Jack, died, Jill was quite bereft because they were close. And Jill had known Jack pretty much her entire life. And she found it very difficult. So when we got Luna partly because Jill was lonely. And we tried to not traumatize our pets. And so by getting the little chaos agent, it's kept Jill young. She bounces around. She gets chased. She chases Luna. It's been good for both of them. Leela and Spike are not like cuddles, but they're both lovely. Yeah. What am I looking forward to, Roger? June 2, I'm looking forward to. The Dry 2, the one with Eric Banner, I'm looking forward to. There was something else I watched a trailer for recently. I'm just going to try to go into my YouTube history. There was a trailer that intrigued me I watched a couple of days ago. I'm just trying to remember what it was. I'm going to keep scrolling until I find the damn thing. Because, yeah, it surprised me how much I wanted to see this film. And you can tell that I watch a lot of movies because I'm spending a lot of time scrolling down this sucker. It wasn't that. Let's see what I've got here. I watch way too many YouTube videos. Including my own. Oh, yeah, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, Guy Ritchie's movie with Henry Cavill, which is about the first Secret Service, not Secret Service, but the first SAS team in World War II, which was part of the SOE, the Special Operations Executive that Ian Fleming was a part of. And that looks like a fun action film. Professor Strangefinger says, I want to see a Gould Navigator as a vision by Villeneuve. Yeah, absolutely. Middle-aged Geek Girl's back. Yay! Yeah, the Guy Ritchie one. David says, we got Leader and Spike for Samantha's company. Yeah, cats don't thrive unless there's another cat in the house. We were having this discussion a couple of days ago, indoor versus outdoor cats. And for us, because we do have a backyard, our cats going outdoors gives them longevity. People say outdoor cats don't live as long, but they do. They get exercise, they get stimulation. And I love the fact that we've got the ability for our cats to go outside hang out in the backyard, chase other cats out of the backyard, and just have that kind of sensory landscape to thrive in. My tummy's rumbling, which means that in 30 minutes we can go and have breakfast. So there's a lot of cat talk on the chat, and I'm there for that. Let's see what else I want to watch soon. The weird thing is that, particularly in America, it's coming up to kind of the season of film festivals. So I'm getting a lot of trailers for movies that are designed only to do well at film festivals. Little intimate story kind of things, which I find kind of interesting that there is a class of films that aren't meant to make a lot of money. They're just meant to impress people at film festivals. And some of them are good, some of them are great. Some of them are the kind of things that you've seen 50 or 60 times before. But it's kind of weird that there is that phenomenon of those kind of films. Thanks, Professor Strangefigure. Appreciate you coming along, and thanks for being part of the chat. I always like a bit of interaction because most of the time it's just me talking at a camera. Have I covered all the points in my list yet? Says Middle-Aged Geek Girl. Pretty much. What I wanted to do, and I'll use the last half an hour to do this. What do people want to see in the channel that we're not getting at the moment? Now, I'm not going to necessarily do everything that people say, but what kind of stuff do people want to see in the channel? I'll get Middle-Aged Geek Girl to make a list, and I'll kind of evaluate it because I've got to have the resources and the passion to do anything. But I want to pick people's brains for the next half hour on what people want to see from Terry Talks movies in 2024. So put on your thinking hats and let me know. Friday wants to see weird musicals. I could do the Alice in Wonderland in that. With Kristen DeBell, who's a Facebook friend of mine and who never talks about it on Facebook. Weird musicals. Yep, weird musicals might be an interesting one. Musicals don't do fantastically well as far as views are concerned, but I'm willing to do that. Occasionally, I'll put up videos that I know I'm going to do well on the channel. And by the way, you can do super chats if you like. The first nudie musical. I love the first nudie musical, FG. And the Apple and Phantom of the Paradise, says Franny. The rom-coms, yeah, I can do some rom-coms. Film festival we go to, says Damien, is the Japanese film festival. Carol says, I like what you're already doing. You introduced me to a lot of new films and broadened my outlook. Thank you. There's no use knowing stuff unless you share it. That's the philosophy I'm running with on the channel. There's no use having all this knowledge about films, which unfortunately I do, unless you share it. Alone in Space is a Swedish film for younger viewers, sort of film festival pre-lockdown. You might like it. Can you write down Alone in Space, please, Middle-Aged Geek Girl? Films that cause controversy, and is it warranted? Garfield Smith says, foreign films? Do you mean American films? Or English films? Because they are foreign films to us. Middle-Aged Geek Girl and I had a discussion about that too. Colin says, watched a ton of stuff that you recommended and a few books too. I'm glad, Colin. It is that thing of sharing information and sharing passion. Deep dives into old TV shows. I might do more of that because I've got a bunch of stuff I haven't talked about yet. Director retrospectives and not the usual suspects. So no Bryan Singer. Apocalypse movies. Maybe Roger, but here's the thing. apocalypse movies, since I've gotten older, depressed me because I wouldn't survive those apocalypses. And they're a bit of a bummer. There's very few optimistic apocalypse movies. Billy the Kid and the Green Base Vampire. Columbo. I'd have to get the whole box set, and it's crazy expensive, but I like Columbo. I do like Poker Face as well. Poker Face is my favourite series of recent times. Non-English language films, some great ones out there, particularly French. I like a lot of French films. I do try to cover them, Garfield, at times, but there are more French genre films that I really should cover because there is some really weird and wonderful stuff there as well. Doug says actors I love. That's a possibility there. I did do a thing when I was podcasting of my top 7 actors that I would see doing an alternative Magnificent 7. And I've been kind of messing around with the idea of a Western with those 7 actors in them. Columbo's on a few free streaming services, says Colin. Film noir. Yeah, film noir. I should do more noir. But I want to find obscurities. I'm not just going to do Detour and Touch of Evil and Lady from Shanghai, much as I love them. I really should try to find some more obscure ones. There's some interesting stuff, by the way, while I'm on the subject. ITC TV shows, that's a possibility. While I'm on the subject, Imprint and Umbrella are putting out some really good stuff in the next few months. And I have requested review copies of a lot of it. They're doing a number 3 of the Tales of Adventure series, which includes a Blu-ray of Sands of the Kalahari. That I'm looking forward to. Multiple versions of the same story, says Carol. Compare what works and what didn't. I take it you're not talking about Rashomon. A Boy and His Dog. It's not a good dystopian future film. It's an ordinary one. Sorry, Captain Laser. That one kind of ruined the guts of Harlan Ellison's story. Original foreign language movies which have been remade by Hollywood. Probably. Damien wants to see some Jedi Jackie movies. Always a possibility. I'm going to have to keep this stream so that I've got all of these because finding out what people like isn't easy sometimes. Yeah, you get feedback on when you do an individual video that has something that people like, but getting stuff outside that is sometimes a bit difficult. Middle-aged giggle can't keep up. Yeah, so type slower, people. Just got my little nose sniffer there. Remakes versus originals. Yeah, I could do that, Doug. What people don't realise, and people go, oh, remakes are all shit. The Maltese Falcon was the 3rd version of that story that was done as a movie. Remakes, it depends on the remake. What I was thinking of doing, I've got this written down, is trilogies from the 1970s I like. And there are some obscure ones. I was thinking of doing things like the Street Fighter movies and the Ginger trilogy and a bunch of things. Biblical or epic films. Richard is trying to get copies of them for me to watch as I never got to see the whole film. Yeah, biblical epics for me, and this is because I am an atheist, are basically fantasy films. They've got fantasy aspects. I don't buy into the philosophy. So the way I would approach a biblical movie is this is a fantasy film. It's starting to rain. Battle Beyond the Stars. Yeah, Battle Beyond the Stars is great, Dick. I enjoy it a lot. Much better than Rebel Moon. 50 years science fiction, the obscure the better. Yeah, I'm looking into that. I've got my reference books ready for that. Every version of Prisoner of Zenda, including the Doctor Who version. Maybe not. Prisoner of Zenda, would I go that? Or Heist movies are good. Heist movies are fantastic, including Heist, which is a David Mamet film, which has Delroy Lindo and Gene Hackman in it. That movie I should do because heist movies are a lot of fun. Remakes The Outrage, the remake of Rashomon with Lawrence Harvey. Yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, biblical films are a bit like Jason the Argonauts or the Sinbad movies. Yeah, but not as much fun. They don't have as many monsters in them. Manhunter I like better than Silence of the Lambs, which is a remake. Yeah, I kind of like Brian Cox's take on Hannibal Lecter, much as I like Tony Hopkins. I do like the fact that Brian Cox, because there wasn't a pre-existing Hannibal Lecter, created something of his own in that film. I really appreciate the way he did that. Cold War themes, Prisoner of Zenda. Yeah, there's a few versions. One of the other things is a lot of fun. If you haven't seen it or haven't seen it lately, the last remake of Beau Geste, which is Marty Feldman's film, which has Trevor Howard, it has Anne Margaret, it's got Michael York. That one's a lot of weird fun. And the more you know about those kinds of movies, the better it is. The remake of Ten Commandments from 1957, the first 2-hour murder mystery, last 2-hour special effects blockbuster. Yeah, that was a weird thing because I went to a book signing in the 90s with Charlton Heston signing his autobiography. And I went with somebody I knew. And I got to shake Charlton Heston's hand. And then it occurred to me that I shook the hand that parted the Red Sea in the Ten Commandments. And that was a real mind. Middle-aged Good Girl says, shark movies. Are there any good shark movies, Middle-aged Good Girl? I don't know. But yeah, so probably, yeah, I mean, possibly. Return of the Living Dead. So I have a soft spot for its punk music. Soft spot and punk music aren't two things that I associate with each other, but I see your point there. Sharknado. We have all the Sharknado movies. We've also got the Sharknado Funko Pop. Carol says, my family's Catholic, but I came along 10 years later, so I didn't get the whole religious upbringing. So views of those films were on an epic scale. How films were made before CGI, respect for effort. Yeah. Finding a way to tell supernatural and big aspects of any kind of movie like that. The challenges were enormous, and the creativity that was done to portray things like the parting of the Red Sea was fantastic. Even the bit where they turn the river to blood is done really well in the Ten Commandments. Wayne says, movies that are so bad they're actually good. There are so many of those. That's a possibility. Joshua and the Cursed Land. I don't know that one. Yeah, Sherlock Holmes Smarter Brothers, pretty good. Actually, I don't mind the version of Beau Geste from the 1960s, which had Doug McClure and Guy Stockwell in it. That one's kind of interesting as well. Yeah, Dealey. Heston was... No, he didn't have a gun. It's Australia. You can't have guns everywhere you want. He did have one of the worst toupees I ever saw. You could see all the weave. John Claw is pretty much fun. Yeah, for all the worst reasons. Marty Feldman retrospective. Not sure there's enough to do much of a retrospective there. But yeah, there's lots of possibilities. Let's see, what else would I do? I'm trying to think as well. Maybe some Sinatra obscurities. I might do a 3-movie set of obscure Sinatra films, like The Detective. And there's a couple of other ones which are kind of interesting. TV shows made into movies could be interesting. I think that they're medium because they're neither rare nor well done. Peplum movies, yeah, there's a lot of possibilities in Peplum movies as well, Friday. Pal and Pressburger, again, Damien, another good idea. Particularly things like I Know Where I'm Going. I'd go with obscurities if I was doing Pal and Pressburger. Like that and Tales of Hoffman and things like that. There's a lot of love given to some Pal and Pressburger movies, but there are also some good ones that don't get enough love. Sherlock Holmes films, yeah, there's possibilities there too. No, I wouldn't go to Tony Rome. If you haven't seen it, Dick, lately, Tony Rome and Lady in Cement is homophobic and sexist as fuck. Those two I probably wouldn't touch. Canterbury Tale, absolutely. Peter Falk comedies. I love The Cheap Detective. The Cheap Detective is the best piss take on Casablanca I have ever seen. Yeah, Garfield, the special effects in biblical epics are great. Rat Pack movies were fun. Even Sergeant's 3 was fun. My favourite biblical epic is probably Samson and Delilah because it's got Hedy Lamarr in it for a start. And I could understand why Samson went for Hedy Lamarr. Keith says, I'm still waiting for my video panning Star Wars. That's shooting fish in a barrel to a certain extent. I do have, and I'll reach around and get it. Was planning on doing something about all of the lies told about Star Wars. And I got this biography of George Lucas by John Baxter, a fine Australian writer and a very nice guy. And I'm using this as research because there's been a lot of rewritten history about Star Wars. And I know that John Baxter's book talks about a lot of interesting things that Lucasfilms and of course Disney now don't want people to remember about how things actually were. Yeah, Tales of Hoffman is great. The In-Laws and the Brinks Jobs. But yeah, if I was going to do something about Star Wars, I would aim it not necessarily at the films themselves, but the films that influence them and the bullshit told about them. Small Backroom Dealy, absolutely. I've got the novel of it as well. And Motival says, I just ordered the last remake of Beau Geste. Stick around for the credits because there's a really funny song in the credits at the end of that, Motival. George Lucas is so overrated. I think he was good at certain things, and those certain things were on the technical side of stuff. Yeah, cool monster designs I like, particularly things like the Kasuga in The Relic. Great monster design that doesn't get talked about. Yeah, I think for me, and this is just a personal point of view, George Lucas peaked with THX 1138. I think American Graffiti I kind of like, but it's just a kind of revhead fantasy with a really great lot of needle drops. But by the way, Mr. DS Gen Z, it's not called New Hope, it's called Star Wars. That's what they called it afterwards. Yep, middle-aged good girl's earning her money, which I think is her way of saying, chuck in a super chat, people, because middle-aged kid girl needs to be taken out for breakfast. The Relic is an underrated one. Wolfman Jack, I wish was in more films. Yeah, he had a certain riz about him. The Relic is great. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I think the thing I do object to about Star Wars is more the marketing, the fact that people emulated it because it was successful. And so a lot of projects that really would have taken the genre forward did not happen because of Star Wars. Best novelization, that's going to be a hard one, Damien, because I'd have to read a whole bunch of novels rather than watching movies and making videos. That's the kind of corner I've painted myself into, is any project that takes a lot of work and a lot of effort and is kind of tangential to what I do means that I've got less time and effort to do the videos themselves. I do pay you for being a moderator. I buy you things on Amazon, middle-aged geek girl. I bought you a Pomodoro timer. Thank you. She's playing the sympathy card there. So everyone, oh, Doug, thank you for the $5. That goes directly to middle-aged geek girl. And my device says, I'd like to have a cat tree behind you so I can see more of Luna when she's willing to get it. Then on it. Luna is a perverse creature. She's an agent of chaos. If I had a cat tree up there, she'd ignore it. Or she'd only go on it when I wasn't recording. That's the nature of Luna. She does not do what people want her to. Video and John Cassavetes. Yeah, I mean, Cassavetes is great. The best Cassavetes moment in cinema is when he blows up in The Fury. Garfield, thank you. Some treats for Luna. But yeah, John Cassavetes I like. I really should try to find some Johnny Staccato, the TV series he did when he played a jazz playing detective. And Cassavetes, yeah, really interesting guy who did his own thing. And I like rebels, I like Hollywood rebels. People like Cassavetes and Peckinpah, those kind of guys are really a great lot of fun. Yeah, Mr. DSG, I should do the Fury. I'm going to put down the Fury myself because I will do a review of the Fury because I love it. It's mad. Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid is the best parody of film. I love Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. That's how I found out about The Bribe, which is a really good hidden film noir, which has got Vincent Price in it. It's also got Robert Taylor, I think, is the main guy in it. It's also got Charles Lawton doing an interesting role. Captain Lazy says, I went to Skolka Ranch as I was in the toy industry. Lucas had posters of Rebel Without a Cause and other classics. So he's a movie fan, but don't hate, but he's better at production than writing. I agree. I think he's a shit writer, but I think from a technical point of view, he moves things forward. Roger Corman, yeah, a lot of good Corman films. Cassavetes was a great villain on Columbo. Yeah, there are a number of people who really did their A game in Columbo. Things that people like Patrick McGowan was a villain a couple of times. And Robert Culp did a good job on it as well. And Shatner was a villain. Yep, Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid. I've got a DVD of that, and it's just such fun. And the nice thing is that Rachel Ward does some really good comedy in it. She's now married to Brian Brown, who's producing films here in Australia, but she really had a nice touch with comedy. Yeah, D. Lee, Luna, you just got to accept it. She's like you go swimming and then a wave dumps you, and that's Luna. She's a random wave of chaos that's a constant in our lives. Yeah, Cat's got a cat, absolutely frightening. And she occasionally pops up here and kind of has a sleep on my chest, or she's got a toothbrush here. This is one of her toys. Look how that bloody thing's been chewed to buggery. That's Luna's bamboo toothbrush, which she loves chewing. When she gets overstimulated, she tends to bite, as cats do. So I'll give her the toothbrush, she calms down, and then, of course, everything goes back to normal. And no, I'm not going to do cat movies because I got traumatized by that darn cat, the Disney movie. I've got a perverse urge to do really shit live-action Disney movies from the 1960s. Mel Brooks movies like High Anxiety, Blazing Saddles, yeah, and they're not the best one. There's a 12 Chairs as well, which is good. I love the producers. Life Stinks, I haven't seen in a long time. I should rewatch that. Luna's not a werewolf. She's herself. And yeah, we are really happy that she's doing so much better now. She had a rough time of it and kind of came through it pretty well. Wearing the cone on her head was a real challenge for her, but she did adapt to it to a certain extent. Carol says, I'm in for old live action Disney. Yeah, it's kind of one of those weird things where I've got to find an upbeat way to do it because I don't just want to say this is shit about those movies, even though they were. The weird thing is, while Walt Disney was alive with those live action films, he was reinforcing like a 1910 version of how America should be. And that made it out of date, even in the 60s. And it retarded Disney's progress as a viable studio because Walt's early 20th century worldview colored the way Disney movies, particularly live action, were made for a long time after he stepped on the rainbow. Yeah, Harvey Korman was always good value. I'm not doing male stripper films, Middle-Aged Geek Girl. You can do them on your channel, but I'm not doing them. Captain Lisa saw the Four Monty as a first date film. When the first movie I saw with somebody I used to live with as a date movie was Silence of the Lambs. Silent movie is never on TV, otherwise I record it like this. Robin Hood Men in Tights. Yeah, that's fun. Directors who peaked early. Charles Lawton. I found out that Carl Morgan directed one movie in the 1950s. So I might, it's a possibility to do one-hit wonders of actors who directed. I will tell you who it was later. Middle-aged good girl. Directors who peaked early. Yeah. That's the problem with that, Carol, is there are directors who peaked early who I really like and whose work I think is crazily underrated and who, because they had won Turkey, weren't given another reasonable chance by Hollywood. I think that might be a bit of a bummer, but we'll see. Yeah, Twilight Zone would be a possibility. Definitely Twilight Zone episodes. And Outer Limits. I think the Outer Limits, even though it wasn't as moralistic as Twilight Zone, but there were still Outer Limits episodes that really did punch hard. And also, I don't mind the Outer Limits from the 1990s, 80s, 90s. I think there were some good stories told in that one as well. And we got 2 minutes left. The Exorcist, Roger. Okay. Did you go out and have some pea soup afterwards? Movies Jack Nicholson scripter says fine. Wayne, thank you for the $20 bump. I appreciate that, and thank you for the first super chat on the channel. Really appreciate the bump there. Tales of the Unexpected, says Carol. Yeah, I got the box set on DVD of Tales of the Unexpected, and there are a lot of good Roald Dahl short stories that were adapted very well with great actors in Tales of the Unexpected. Robert Montgomery movie, that was Lady in the Lake. That one's really great. I love that first-person perspective in the film. I should do that one. D. Lee says, I picked up the 1916 silent adaptation 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea at a film fair. Looking forward to seeing that. Yeah, I think I've seen some clips of it, and I think that it was very imaginative in the way it tried to portray that particular Jules Verne story. Roger says, no PC, but I had to walk home on my own across the misty field. The Royal Jelly story on Tales of the Unexpected is really creepy, says Friday. Yeah. As indeed were any number of Roald Dahl stories. But yeah, Tales of the Unexpected Viavision sent it to me and I reviewed it, but I really should dive into it a lot more. Movies from studios where they use their own stars and Laurel and Hardy's The Stolen Jewels. Yeah. Great anthology series, Middle Aged Geek Girl. That's a possibility. Put that one down because then I could talk about Dead of Night and a couple of other ones which were adapted from Somerset Maugham stories. There's a possibility of 40s and 50s anthology movies, which might be worth diving into. Guess what? It's time to knock that naughty clock that says it's time to go, as they used to say in the Magic Circle Club. Thank you to everybody for being part of this live stream. It's been a lot of fun. Middle Aged Geek Girl and I are off to get some breakfast now. We're going to go to a cafe and grab a bit of food. Argylle Pinot movie, absolutely. Middle Aged Geek Girl says breakfast time. So thank you to everybody who's been part of it. Thank you to everybody who offered super chats and also who let me pick their brains about the movies and the kind of things we want to do for the channel. Because often you're kind of working in a vacuum to a certain extent and picking people's brains, even if I don't use all of these ideas, they help. They're manure for the field to help with the channel. And I really appreciate everybody contributing in whatever way you're able to. So until next time, watch some good movies, watch some bad movies. Watch some of the movies people have recommended on this channel. And I'll catch you next time.